Hey, YouTube audience. This is Doyle and Juan with Thinking Outside the Longbox.
Woo!
We're here to talk today about, was it Vox Machina or Machina?
The Legend of Vox Machina. I think it's Machina. I think you're right.
Yeah, the Legend of. Which, as I was looking for background images to go with the conversation, there's a fuck ton of them already. And even people in full cosplay of the entire crew. So is this something that I don't know if this existed before the show? Was it a comic or something?
I don't think it was. It's based off of a campaign, a D&D campaign, but I don't think as far as I know it was ever run print anywhere.
It is definitely straight up a D&D campaign so far. Except for I've never seen a D&D campaign that starts off with Elder Blue Dragon battle. That's that's usually the end of several years of playing, and everyone still dies at the end. Because they're nigh unbeatable. There's no way you can do that.
So
in D&D, you don't just accidentally kill a dragon.
The Legend of Vox Machina is an American adult animated fantasy streaming television series produced by Critical Role Productions, Titmouse Inc., who we've had on the show. He's actually really, really cool. And Amazon Studios, which premiered on Amazon Prime Video on January 28th, 2022. So premiered a few days ago, not too much. Like I said, it's based off of a D&D campaign from the web series Critical Role. It stars Laura Bailey, Talasian Jaffe, Ashley Johnson, Matthew Mercer, Liam O'Brien, Marisha Ray, Sam Riegel, and Travis Willingham, reprising the roles from the Critical Role's first campaign. So maybe, since it's based off of a web series that they do, maybe it is in print somewhere already.
Makes sense. Bob Ross likes it.
So they released 3 episodes all at once. I feel like that's kind of the trend. When you're going to release something, you're going to release a few episodes and then go weekly from there.
It seems like that, or you're going to release it all at one shot now.
Yeah.
In the streaming world.
Just to give it a little insight, it's got a 100% critic score and a 93% audience score as far as Rotten Tomatoes goes.
Yeah, I saw that. I can't imagine the 7% of people who watched this who didn't like it. Besides maybe moms or something who saw it was a cartoon and put it on for their kid, and there's tits in the first 5 minutes.
What's he doing to my daughter?
Yeah.
So
that one caught me off guard.
Yeah.
You know what catches me off guard is that it says when you click on it to play it, it says rated 18+. But when you're just hovering over it to play it, it says 16+, which this show is definitely not 16+, in my opinion. Every other word is a curse word. There's massive gore. Like I said, there's nudity. Not a lot, but there is nudity. This is definitely R-rated in any other genre that I could think of. So, is R-rated 16+? I don't know.
No, it's 18. You got to be 18, I think, to get into an R-rated movie.
That's what I figured. So I was it's definitely not for kids.
Well, the little troll dude, all he wants to do is have sex with women. That's his whole purpose.
Yeah.
You don't even really know what his magic is until the end of the first episode.
Yeah, he's definitely a bard, which is they actually made a bard look cool, which is hard to do because bard is probably the least played character class in D&D, and nobody most groups I've been a part of don't have one. Because basically a bard is that. They everyone's swinging axes and throwing magic and shit, and the bard's in the background playing a ukulele. Hope you succeed, assholes.
So obviously we're kind of thrust into this world of like we said, it's a D&D campaign, or it feels that way. So we're thrust into a world where there's dragons and magic and shit, and this team seems to be the most dysfunctional team that's out there. Yeah. And they're thrown out of every single bar they ever go to because they start giant fights. And the king, who I can't remember his real name. I think he's played by the dude, the king in The Walking Dead, Ezekiel.
It sounds same voice.
Yeah. So they have no choice because they're the last team alive than to hire these idiots to try and kill this beast that they don't know what it is. I'm not a big D&D guy. Most people know if you're watching this or listening to the show, I've never played it. What aside from just kind of the fantasy world, or is that the only thing that lends itself to a campaign? Are there steps that they go through? Are there things that they do that kind of lend itself to the game?
So there's like the trope that like a lot of D&D campaigns start like in a tavern setting with like the party coming together. So like that's very tropish. Like the fact that like you just straight up have all the character classes. Like there's a rogue, there's a paladin / cleric, could be either. There's like a straight up fighter. You know, you have your bard. Like they like straight up have character classes, even though they're not. They don't tell you that's what they are. That's what they are. Like it is they're out for themselves pretty much to go to make gold. They're on an adventure. Like I said, the dragon thing is very D&D like, but dragons are crazy epic characters, so maybe it wasn't in like, I mean, you can do whatever you want when you play a D&D game, so maybe in their campaign somehow it wasn't an epic character, but like or maybe this was like at the end of like a very long campaign they did. I'm not sure, but the whole thing just like if you've played D&D, it's like hard to explain. It just feels like a D&D game. Like in a D&D game, you get your guys together. The fucking G of the game, you know, whoever's running the game has motivation for you to go do something. They use NPCs which the king would be or the court would be, to like give your characters information to send them on the path to do what they're supposed to do. There's always the like, should we actually be doing this? Should we just do something else? Vibe that does happen in D&D a lot, where the DMs tried to like steer the game a certain way. Everybody's like, I don't feel like doing that.
So the first 2 episodes deal with what is revealed to be a dragon. So, like you said, you know, the at first they don't know what's going on. They know that there's some kind of beast of some sort that's destroying villages. And there's a little bit of, and I'm an idiot, and sometimes watching new things, I don't kind of put those little foresight things together. Vex, who I believe is one of the 2 twins, they reveal that their mother was killed by a dragon, and that's, for me, I didn't even put it together to go forward that way. But so she has these weird little like premonition feeling things when she's around the council. Yeah. And so she felt like somebody was kind of helping whatever is going on in this first episode. The climax, obviously, at the end is they get their ass kicked by what's revealed to be a dragon, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're not doing this anymore."
Which is what would absolutely happen in D&D, except you'd totally be dead. Like if you were a new party, like I will play since you don't play. If you were a new party and you somehow stumbled upon a dragon, which also would never happen in D&D, really, because they're kind of like these epic. I mean, they're basically like demigods, like in the books. They're not. When you get to, especially one that's like that large, you know what I mean? Right. And yeah, like you wouldn't just like turn the corner and be like, oh, fuck, it's a dragon. But if you did, you would die. A horrible death, an instant death, probably. But yeah, even her, she comes across as probably like a ranger class in the game. They have like preferred enemies, so like they have like special bonuses to certain kinds of enemies, and like so it's the same thing with that like premonition style thing.
Right.
The TV show I think is super fun. Like I like the way they did it. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. I didn't really understand the dragon's motivation for wanting to kill everybody, like. Especially because he seemed like he gives like a mild motivation. Like I think he says something like, "We'll be back on top again." But it, like a general of the entire army of like a kingdom, it seems like that takes a long ass time to get there. And I don't understand why he would put all that time and effort in to just be like killing everyone, especially when it seems like he could have just killed everyone from the beginning, because like nobody can fucking stop, including the whole army. You can't stop him, except for Vox Machina when they randomly decide to kill him.
So, do you think that the dragon has motivation? Is that what you're talking about, or the general? The motivation.
He is the dragon.
Okay, I kind of felt like he was controlling the dragon. He's actually the dragon? Is that what you pulled from that?
I'm pretty sure he turned into the dragon.
Oh fuck! I didn't even see that. I must have blinked or something.
Unless I'm like imagining that part, I think that's what happened.
So obviously leading into the second episode, they decide they're going to stick together. Everything's cool, or for the most part. Oh, because they find the kid dead. That's what the motivation is for them to band together. So the twins had kind of befriended this child and said, "Oh, everything's going to be good. Don't worry about it." And he gives him the silver coin. And then the dragon, of course, decimates that little village, and the kid is dead, bleeding, which is wild. Like, you're right. It doesn't take itself seriously. And then all of a sudden, like, kids and women are just getting destroyed. But they find this coin. Huh?
I think the first, team you see, which I assumed was the Vox Machina team, get destroyed instantly at the very beginning of the first episode.
They kind of look like Zeus, like gods.
Yeah, that was like another basic, that is like what would actually happen if a D&D party stumbled upon a dragon. Like, they're just like, we're here to fuck a dead.
He's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So they find this coin, and that's what bands them together. Death always brings the team together, of course. And so they follow the dude who they think on the cancel is helping the dragon. And of course, he's like the ugliest, meanest looking dude. So of course, it's got to be him. And he leads them to, I think it's like all where everything's being hoarded, all the gold and all the weapons and shit that the actual bad guy, the general, is hoarding, which leads them to a portal of some sort to the dragon's lair.
Behind the nudie poster.
My hand's in the booty.
Yeah, it's in the booty. Which I got it wrong. I don't think there is actually like a fighter in this group, because he's definitely a barbarian in the D&D world. He even has like a rage, like barbarians even have a rage ability in the book, which he has at the end when he kills the dragon. So I'm not sure how they're getting away with like this with D&D, to be honest with you, unless it's like a part of like D&D's like all about it.
So
because it's straight up ripping off the game.
Well, Critical Role does they've got to, because Critical Role does a ton of D&D related stuff aside from this, and they have their own web series and all that stuff. So I imagine D&D is on board, because that's all. I feel like that's all Critical Role does. That's their whole purpose of existing. Yeah.
I just feel like there's a difference between like a YouTube channel and like a Amazon Prime owned like television show. As far as like money is concerned.
I don't know, man. Critical Role's pretty fucking popular. Like they had huge lines at Denver Comic-Con not this last time, but the time before that.
I know you can make a lot of money on YouTube. I just assume the amount of money like Amazon Prime makes off shows is like more than that.
I'm sure.
Like I assume like they probably make like wheelbarrow full of money, and Amazon Prime makes like wheelbarrows full of money.
On their list of characters, so Laura Bailey is Vex. It describes her as a half-elf ranger. Jaffe plays Percy, a member of Vox Machina. They just describe him as a human gunslinger. But leading into the third episode, he is something else as well. But they just describe him as a human gunslinger here. Pike is described as a gnome and a cleric. Lord Silas Briarwood is a caretaker of Whitestone, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't say what he is. Vax is also a half-elf rogue, not a ranger. I don't know what the difference is there.
Rogues like skulk in the shadow and stab you in the back, and like they break into shit. You see it in the show, like he breaks into the door. They're like thief assassins, essentially. You can kind of go a few different directions, but that's basically what it is.
Huh. Air Ashari. She's a half-elf druid.
Yeah, definitely.
Scanlan Shorthalt is a gnome bard. And then Grog Strongjaw is a Goliath barbarian. So you were correct.
The Gunslinger I don't know anything about because I haven't really played much of the newest D&D, which I'm sure that's in there somewhere. But Gunslinger is not really a class. School D&D.
Huh. Like we said, though, second episode, they find the lair of this dragon, and they, it feels a little tropey, but like every other team up, they get destroyed, and then they find a way to be like, this is what makes us us, and they team back up together, and they obviously destroy the dragon. And so, that's there's a 2-story arc. I don't know if there's 12 episodes in this first season. I don't know if that's how it's going to follow. Like a couple episodes deal with a thing, and then a few more episodes deal with another thing. Because that feels, like I said, I've never played D&D, but that feels very campaign-y to me. It feels very like a couple of things, and then we move on to the next thing.
That is very D&D. Like I said, a campaign where you were like, killing a dragon would be epically long, but I'm sure they're just. I'm so surprised they did that in the first 2 episodes, but because that would very much be the end of a game, in a normal campaign.
Right.
That would be it's coming to an end, wrapping it up style of a thing. Like I said, I can imagine even a game that lasted years, characters would still die probably. And if not all of them would still die.
So Lord Silas, because they destroy the dragon, he during the first episode, he promises them this big giant box that's made of gold, and they think that there's a bunch of treasure in it because that's all they're after is the treasure. And when they open it, it's a key and a map, I think, if I remember right. And he says that it's their house because they have to live with them now.
Which is a kind of a fucked up prize. It's now that you've defeated the dragon, here's your, permanent residence where we will call on you to do other shit. Also, in the third episode, they turn on him real fast. You would think murdering a dragon would buy you a little bit of you get to be a little bit crazy at one party. It's the second they step out of line, it's yeah, you're done for, Vox Machina.
So it is Kari Payton as well. I looked it up. It is Ezekiel. Kari Payton plays him. Yeah. So like you said, leading into the third episode, because they've destroyed the dragon, now they've got a house. They feel like a family. It sounds like they've got a house in the kingdom.
Yeah.
I don't know if because it kind of feels again to me we're moving into things that are going to touch on every character. So the third episode is completely about the Human Gunslinger, essentially. It's about, what's his name? Percival. His whole town got murdered by, you don't know at first, but his whole town got decimated. He doesn't talk about it a lot. And these 2 people, who are they? They are Lady Delilah Briarwood and Lord Silas Briarwood. We see them at the very end of the second episode where they are about to get mugged, it seems like, and then the dude just fucking destroys them and there's blood everywhere. And so that leads us into the third episode where they know Percy from, apparently he knows that they're the ones who destroyed the whole town. And I guess they never leave their city. And so this is the first time they left their city ever since then, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what they are, but that'll be interesting.
It says here Lord Briarwood is a vampire. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know if they're just vampires.
That's what I assumed. I just wasn't 100% sure. They felt very vampire, super vampire-y, not little vampire. Dracula level vampire.
We find out that Pike loses her access to the Everlight. That's the little necklace she's wearing the whole time, which I think she can heal people, and it looks like she has the ability to like help with weapons. And I don't know what that means. Like it looks like weapons become more powerful when she uses the Everlight to help.
Yeah. Well, the clerics like access like a god power essentially. They're like worshippers of a god, and then that god grants them powers. So maybe that's through her necklace or something. I'm not sure.
But yeah, like you said, they have this giant party where they're bringing a bunch of people together, I assume, to kind of tell them what's going on and all of that. And then stuff kind of goes sideways once the Briarwoods recognize that they know Percy.
Yeah.
And he's the last one. I guess he was the last survivor from this neighborhood or this town.
Yeah. It seems like that is the direction we're going in. It ends with them being in trouble, from what I remember.
They're getting arrested.
Yeah. Which, again, like, why do you let yourself be arrested? Like, if you kill a dragon, you can take out a couple court guards. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, the Lord comes out and he arrests him. The guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would still be like, go fuck yourself. Like, I just chopped a dragon's head in half with an axe. Like, I'm gonna finish eating these little cocktails, and then I'm gonna pimp slap you around the room if you don't knock it off.
It does feel like they jump right to like throw him in jail instead of being like, what is going on? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because the other two are gone. Like, at least there's some kind of explanation for why there's this giant fucking green plant thing blocking and why the other two have left.
Yeah, like I said, it makes like I said, the motivation and like the story is not, I don't think, is not very well. Like maybe like in the YouTube channel they did a lot better job of breaking down why characters are doing certain things. I don't think that's done very well in the show, but it's also the least important part of the show. Like the show is just them like fucking around being funny and like doing cool shit. And like it's very much a show that just like looks cool, is funny, and is like fun to watch. It's not like if I was like breaking down like motivationally why are these characters doing what they're doing, I don't see nobody's acting rationally. Like
So we did skip over one important part, which might explain why Sovereign Uriel, who is played by Carrie Payton, acts weird, because he was hypnotized by the vampire beforehand, so he is being controlled by the dude as well. But you're right. I mean, one dude and just a whole team of people who could probably explain it away, even though the Sovereign is under somebody else's control, trying to blame them for something.
Yes, and I can see why he would do that because of his hypnotizing, but like I could say, like a party of, there are alignments in D&D too, like neutral good, chaotic good, like lawful good, stuff like that, lawful evil, chaotic evil, neutral, whatever. These characters are not, for the most part, good. Like the cleric kind of is. Everyone else breaks me down to like very like chaotic, neutral, or maybe chaotic good at the most. So like that's basically how your character would act, right? So like their motivation is what's questionable to me. Like I would not see this group of characters being like, all right, I guess we're getting arrested now. Like based on all their previous actions, I don't think that's what would happen.
So
like I said, that's the least important part of the show.
The last reveal here is that, so going from third episode into fourth episode, which is coming out this week, Percival, like I had kind of alluded to earlier, you find out he's got some kind of weird dark power. Here it says that the demon is called Orthax, but he puts on this crazy mask, and then it's like a shadow. It's like a shadow monster is all I can kind of describe it as. And then he was going to kill this dude for not talking.
Yeah, seems like a cursed magical item, which is like how I think you would do that in the game.
So we're left at the point where I don't think he kills the guy. The guy is the chauffeur for the Briarwoods, and Percival's asking him, why did they come out? What were they after? What were they doing here? And then the demon comes out, and then everybody gets arrested, and that's where the show ends.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
What'd you think? What was your overall thoughts of the first three?
Honestly, I really like when it was another one of those things that I didn't really know the background. I don't really know much about the YouTube channel, honestly. Even though I played D&D, it's like I haven't watched much of their shit. I think now you've mentioned it, I have probably seen like TikTok clips or something of them playing, or YouTube, like small YouTube videos of them playing, but which have been funny. So I wasn't like super stoked to watch the show because most American animation shows I don't really like. Invincible, which this feels like the same team that did Invincible to me. I don't know if it is or isn't.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
The animation style is very similar, and the brutality is very similar. But yeah, like 5 seconds in, I was pretty hooked, and like the first 3 episodes are like fly by as you're watching them. So I liked it a lot. I don't think I give it 100%. Like I said, like there are things that I found like, what the fuck's going on here, or like, but it would be like a 90% show for me. Like it would be an 8, sure, for sure. Like I'm like interested to watch the rest of it for sure.
I give it. I was close to you. I'd probably give it somewhere in the high 80s. 85 to 90 is probably where I'm at as well. I like shit that doesn't take itself seriously. If you know anything about Titmouse, they do a lot of like adulty cartoons. And so it feels a lot like that when you're watching it. There's fucking blood everywhere. People are cussing. Like it's a funny thing to watch. It doesn't seem like your typical kid cartoon thing. And I feel like that's the feel that Titmouse puts out a lot of the time. And I don't know much about D&D. I don't know much about campaigns or any of that kind of stuff. And so jumping into it, I liked the aspect, like the little troll dude, when they're getting hired, he does the whole song about who each individual person is and what their powers are. And I thought that was cool. It kind of helped me know who these people are, where you could just see somebody doing something and being like, okay, he's this, or he's the cleric, or he's the whatever, because you know that. And so I think those small things are important for people who don't know anything about D&D, you know?
I will say they seem like high-level characters in the D&D world. Like, they would be up there. They're not beginning characters, for sure.
Just to give a little background on Critical Role, because I know somebody's going to give a shit for not knowing. It is a web series, like I said. It started streaming in 2015. The first campaign was 115 episodes, and it went in from March to October of 2017. So they put a lot of fucking episodes in there. The second campaign was started in January 2018, and it went to June of 2021. That was 141 episodes. The third campaign went from June 2021 to August 2021, and then that was the second campaign started. The third campaign started October 21 of 2021. So I think
probably still going.
I think that's going still, yeah, if I had to guess.
It's a lot of time to play.
So I've never seen it, so I don't know if it's like this, like they put a production on and you're watching a cartoon, or if it's them actually playing and then there's just shit going around while they're playing. That I don't know.
If it's what I think it is, from the clips I've seen, it's them playing. But there is like a decent amount of production as far as like from what I remember seeing is like they have like full on miniatures and like little areas built out and like things that they're going through. And it takes so long because like D&D, like a battle can take a whole session or like half a battle because it's slower moving than real life. So I can see why it took so long. But
yeah, they've got a couple of limited series, Exandria Unlimited, and a couple of one-shots and stuff. So, I feel like I've heard a lot about them. I'm not a D&D guy in the sense that I've just never played, and so this has never entered my realm. But I've heard nothing but good things about Critical Role.
You should try playing sometime. I think it's pretty fun.
Well, I think we're there. I love the way it looked. I think we both really liked the show. Like you said, I'm excited to keep watching. There's 9 more episodes coming out weekly on Prime Video. So I think we're pretty much excited about it. I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's pretty much already guaranteed a season 2 as well. So when you get like 100% critic score on something on Rotten Tomatoes and like 90%. gonna keep making it for a while. If we missed anything.
Yeah, let us know what you think if you've seen it, whether it comes to the art or the story, or if we're morons because we don't know who Critical Role is, or all of that kind of stuff. Go listen to our episode S43, special episode 43. Is our episode with Titmouse, with the founder Chris Prynoski. Very, very cool episode because me and Gabe are. So the way he does his media at San Diego Comic-Con is he rents an RV of some sort, and then you literally get in the RV and then you ride with him, and he hires a driver and you just fucking ride around San Diego for a little bit and you talk, and he's got beers and shit. He's a really, really cool guy. Sam Riegel, who's in this Vox Machina show, was on the bus as well. So we had a little bit of a time to speak with him as well. So my guess is that this kind of started happening a long time ago because they were talking about something. Who knew that this would end up being what it is, or if they're just old friends. But he plays the gnome bard in the show. So both him and Chris are in special episode 43 of the podcast if you just go back.
Yeah. It's a good episode. I remember listening to it.
I love San Diego Comic-Con. It's such a fun show to go cover.
Yeah, maybe we'll stop getting new fucking coronaviruses where we can go back one day.
But yeah, we give it a high 80s and a high 90. Definitely think you should keep watching. I'm sure we'll do something like this again. It may be a little shorter next time because we're doing one episodes at a time. Is how I assume they're coming out unless they surprise me. But we really enjoyed the show. Go check it out on Prime Video. And we will catch you guys later. TOTLB.com to check out all of our stuff. New episodes should drop today.
Yes, sir. As soon as the Megatron variant comes through, we'll be back in the cons.
Back in the Comic-Con. Megatron brings us forth to Comic-Cons. All right, everybody. See you later.
Later.